Settle down quickly, everybody. I hope you're making notes. There's going to be an exam at the end, huh? You have to all take a test. Yes, so see that you make notes. No, there is no test. No, but make notes. It'll help you. Okay, and can we have all the cameras on, please? Keep your cameras on. Even if you have to go on a break, there's no problem. Keep it on and go. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Settle down. Yeah. Now we go deeper. In this next verse, he is helping us identify what is my issue with asmita. Why do I get into asmita? Asmita? I-ness, I-ness, I. Here Ramana Maharshi has explained it very well. He says to follow the I. His technique is to get to it from the reverse side. He says follow the I. The one that says I am Ekta, I am this, I am that. That I. Where is it? Follow. Follow. Can you find it? Are you able to locate it? Do you recognize it was just a thought that came and disappeared? Yeah. An essence of Ramana Maharshi's follow the I inquiry is also there in Kathopanishad. Here he says that the self is hidden. It is hidden in the heart. The self by itself is desireless. It is free from grief. Yeah? It has no dukkha. It has no fear. Yeah? It has no desire only. But it is hidden. And it is subtler than the subtlest, greater than the greatest we did yesterday. Yeah? It is very subtle. So it is hidden. Now, hidden by what he says? Desirelessness is hidden by desire. That causes asmita to come up. Because I cannot see my nature of desirelessness, I have superimposed the desire that is recognized in this imaginary waking, dream, deep sleep worlds. I do the superimposition from the other side now. The waking, dream, deep sleep world desire is superimposed on my desirelessness nature. So now I think I have desires. Yes. No, my truth is I am desireless. I am desireless. This you can see very clearly in Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana. So the first thing you would feel here in this verse is in Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana, in deep sleep, do you notice any desire? Ask yourself, have I ever noticed any desire? No, you say no, there is nothing. You ask a little kid, what was there in deep sleep? The kid will say, there was nothing, Mama. Nothing means not even desire. No desire. Not even the desire to exist was there. Yeah? Though you call 2-3 levels of the spectrum all the way from knowing nothingness to the collapse of the I to the collapse of the awareness and the re-arising of the awareness, re-arising of I and the knowing of nothingness. You call this entire spectrum as deep sleep? Yeah, that's okay as a beginner, but know that it has 6 levels, 6 slices within it. And though you say that, okay, in deep sleep there is just nothing, Mama. What do I mean by saying nothing? There is no desire, there was no hankering. In the waking there is this constant hankering. I want this, I don't want this, this is right, this is wrong, this should be like this should blah, 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 blah. Do you notice that agitation? That agitation is nothing but desire. The more the desire, the more the mental agitation. The more you sit in samadhi, closed-eyed samadhi, and you touch that part of you where the I collapses, and you get a little taste of desirelessness, my own nature. In closed-eyed samadhi, I reach deep sleep. Yeah? But I'm not asleep, I am aware. Yeah? I am not unaware. I have not completely lost consciousness. There is a recognition of nothingness and nobodiness. There is the recognition of I am standing alone. Then there's a recognition of the sense of existing devoid of I. And then there is the final recognition of the collapse of the I. This shows me, I still exist. The I collapsed. That I which was saying I am Ekta was not there. That is what I mean by there was nothing and nobody in deep sleep. Even a little child knows that. You yourself said that as a little kid. There is nothing in deep sleep, Mama. Not even I. I am also not there. What does that mean? There is no desire to exist. That I which is saying, I am Ekta and I want this in Ekta's world and I don't want this in Ekta's world. All these desires are connected to the I. And that I only disappears. Wow. To see that is the highest level on this path. In the next verse he's saying that self is hidden. And when I see the collapse of the I, what is revealed to me? That hidden self. Oh, that which knows the collapse of the I, that is who I am. That which knows the re-arising of the I, that is who I am. I cannot see it directly. The eyes cannot see them. The mind cannot comprehend the primordial awareness. The eyes cannot see primordial awareness. There is just a recognition at the bhava level, at the sense level, that which recognizes the collapse of the I and that which recognizes the re-arising of the I. That is me. That is what is the meaning of Tat Tvam Asi. You are that. That is why that. There is no word for it. It had to be called Tat. That. Because I cannot see it, I cannot smell it, I cannot taste it, I cannot touch it, I cannot hear it, I cannot think of it, I cannot put it in words. I can only call it that. That which knew the I collapse. And that I which claims to be Ekta. That means I am something beyond that I which claims to be Ekta. This recognition wakes you up. Oh. I am when Ekta is not. I am when the so-called I is not. Then you start seeing what Kathopanishad is saying. Oh, the self is hidden. It is hidden. Yeah? So, this collapse of the I will be in all the verses going ahead. Now, it is encouraging you. Get to it in closed-eyed samadhi. Even if you're walking the Buddha's path, jhana 9 is the collapse of the I. If you're walking the Advaita Vedanta path, the collapse of the I is seen, and after that there is Jagrat Sushupti, the awakened deep sleep. So it is there on both the paths. It doesn't matter where you see it, how you see it. It doesn't matter which path you follow, as long as you recognize you are that. That. So deepen your Swapna Nidra Jnana sadhana. I insist on SNGS because whether you want it or not, every night the deep sleep comes to you. Yeah? It beats you out of the waking, beats you out of the dream, as if volcanic lava of nothingness comes and engulfs you. You disappear into the nothingness, into nobodiness. Even if you don't want to do it, Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana is happening every night. That's why I say it's the easiest to do. Yes, and if it's not happening by yourself at home with the help of the Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana books, then come to a retreat. There we'll learn Samadhi, closed-eyed Samadhi, and you get to sleep twice in a day. Yes, you get afternoon naps in the retreats to do Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana. And then you do journaling after that. So then that helps you get into that little feedback. They feed into each other. It's a loop. Yeah. So closed-eyed Samadhi feeds into Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana. Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana feeds into closed-eyed Samadhi. And then on the last few days of the retreat, we practice to bring it into our open-eyed. And you just get a little window, a little trailer in the retreat, and then you can start doing it back at home. That is the most important part of this sadhana. Okay. So now that we've gone deeper into the verses and recognized the self lies hidden, this you can only see in this next verse. You can only see it at the collapse of the eye in closed-eyed Samadhi and collapse of the eye in Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana. In direct seeing exploration, it will mostly be just understanding the theory. You will not be able to see it in your open-eyed direct seeing yet before seeing it in closed-eyed Samadhi and closed-eyed Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana. Then at a higher level, you will be able to bring it up in open-eyed Samadhi. So some of us are meeting for a 1-month retreat in India at the end of the year. That is their goal, to get to open-eyed Samadhi and be able to bring it into open-eyed daily routine. Please know there is nothing like grace or blessing that is coming from the heavens that is going to bless me with an opportunity to bring it into my open-eyed routine. No. My own discipline, my own viveka, my own vairagya will take me there. So it has to start with the inner discipline. Please don't expect that the hidden self is going to reveal itself of its own accord. No. It is hidden by your desire. You will have to carve a path out of the jungle of desire and recognize desirelessness. And you need to want to do that. In the next deeper verse, he says, when you come to that, now you recognize that I am that. And there you see, oh, the self is unborn. It was never born only. I is only an imagination, like the dream tiger is an imagination. The dream tiger was never born. Like that only I is not born from deep sleep. All of it after that follows is imagination. In deep sleep, there is nothing, and then suddenly there is the I standing there, knowing there is nothing. That is the first imagination. In the scriptures, it is called the first cause. Yeah? First cause of what? The rest of the imagination, dreaming and waking. The first cause is right there in deep sleep. That is why deep sleep is called the causal body. There is no real body there. It's just called the womb from which the imagination births first. That is why it is causal, the causal body. That which births from it, the I, that is not the self. That is not the Atma. Though it is a drop of the same ocean of the consciousness at rest, but it is pretending to be something or somebody, no? That's why it's saying I. That is consciousness in motion, the first glimpse. In its first glimpse, consciousness in motion appears as I from deep sleep. It doesn't like standing alone as nothing. So it creates a world in the dream. It projects an imaginary world in the dream, an imaginary dream character, imaginary dream characters, family, friends, objects, situations. It manufactures everything. All this does not last too long. Boof, it's gone. The dream is over. That from which it was born, that is everlasting. Dream is fleeting. That is eternal. This comes and goes, comes and goes, comes and goes. This is impermanent. That is ancient. And this is again and again born. Imagination is born again and again in the dream. So you start seeing this very clearly between the deep sleep and the dream in your Swapna Nidra Nyan Sadhana. Now you attempt to recognize this in the waking. Oh, the waking is also unborn. The waking is also fleeting. It cannot be everlasting. Again and again the imagination is born. If this becomes clearer to you, then the fear goes away. Then you know, oh, this body of the waking, it disappears the moment you stop talking about the body, stop paying attention to the body. It is not there continuously anyways. So then you realize that I am that cannot be slain when this body is slain. That cannot be killed when this body is killed. That cannot die when this body dies. Birth and death only belong to this body mind of the waking. The self is beyond. It's beyond this time. This time is an imagination. Waking, dream, deep sleep are all inside the imagination of time and space. That, tat, I am that. That is timeless, deathless, spaceless, beyond this imagination. That is the reality. Okay? That's how you come to the proper direct seeing, understanding, attempt to recognize in samadhi that is seen only after the eye collapses, and then you recognize that is unborn, that is eternal, everlasting. I am that. All this fear of death and that this form, the photograph sitting in front of me of the departed one, is only a dream. Only a dream, only an imagination. That's how you become free of the fear of death. You come to that point, an understanding, a clear understanding, the spouse does not exist. The son does not exist. The daughter does not exist. The parent does not exist. The money does not exist. The house, car, bank balance, etc., name, fame, insult, whatever, good name, bad name, good friends, enemies, no, none of that. All of that falls under the umbrella of imagination. Then you remain unchanged across all life stages in open-eyed. Yeah, so in closed-eyed, I must recognize this in closed-eyed samadhi, recognize it very clearly in my dream and draw a parallel between the dream and the waking, and then bring it out into my open-eyed samadhi. That automatically translates to not taking any life stage very seriously. This is not something that you can gain in a weekend. Instant enlightenment. Give this to me in one weekend, Ekta. No. This is a discipline. You must follow the discipline if you're serious about your spiritual path. Okay. The biggest point here now is to now look at the departed one's photograph and recognize that that form has only disappeared. It is not dead. He or she, whoever it was, maybe it was a dear family member, a beloved. If there is no death for me and I am that, he or she is also that. Yeah? So there is no death for him or her. Just the form has disappeared. Disappeared from the eyesight of this form. That's it. It is limited to the waking. Yeah. That form in the photograph that has departed has disappeared from the eyes of this form. That's it. This whole appearance disappearance is limited to the waking. But I am the fourth, I am not the first. First is waking, second is dream, third is deep sleep. I am the fourth, I am the turiya, I am the background. Yeah. So the verse says that if the slayer thinks that he can kill, or the slain thinks that he can be slain, both know not. The self kills not, and neither is it killed. Yeah, you can write this down because this will help you every time a sadness or grief comes up towards that photograph sitting in front of you or the name in front of you of the departed one. It's the 6th verse in chapter 2, section 1. If the slayer thinks he kills, or the slain thinks he is slain, both know not. The self kills not, nor is it killed. Now pay attention, the Kathopanishad is talking about killing, not about just natural death. Yeah, we accept natural death. We don't accept killing. Yeah, so not just the natural death has been addressed here, but doership of killing has been addressed here. Do you see? He's taken both aspects in one single verse. Yeah, killing and being killed all belong to this imagination called the waking world. The body, mind, and the waking world are limited in time. It is a story. The Atma, the self, has no agency. How can it kill? It has no vulnerability. How can it be killed? Or how can it die? Yeah. When there's no agency, there's no question of death. When there's no vulnerability, there is no question of dying. The Atma has no involvement in all this waking world drama. And this drama has a shelf life, no? An actor comes on stage, plays his part and departs. That form sitting in front of you, the form of the one who has departed, came on stage, played his or her part and departed. This is an imagination. The idea I kill is doership and I am killed is experiencership. No, both is wrong. He says both belong to this waking world. Only the one who is ignorant thinks like that. The one who has risen from ignorance, has moved towards wisdom, even if he has not seen the collapse of the I, even if he has just seen that I am the witnessing awareness field, realizes I am not this body-mind person. This person is going to die. When the role is over, the person must depart the stage. But I always am, because I am the stage. I am the stage on which the person appeared. And I am the stage from which the person departed. All is happening on that empty background. I am that white background beyond. Yeah? So this verse 6 will help you again and again to come out of that sadness attack. Take the stand of the witness. Recognize it is the mind that is sad, because the mind is involved in the drama. It is playing its part on stage. I am the stage. I am unaffected by whatever drama goes on the stage. Yeah. So recognize, I have to break this identification with consciousness in motion, because where the consciousness at rest is concerned, there is no creation, therefore there cannot be destruction. Everything just appears on the stage and disappears. Nothing is really created. Which brings you to a very deep understanding that you were never born. You are unnecessarily celebrating that day that you call your birthday. Just another imagination belonging to the waking world. There is no birthday, because there is no birth. And you will know this in your own direct seeing. I do not remember coming out of my mother's womb on this particular date. I have no direct proof of my birth. It is a story that the family members repeat to me. The photographs tell me something, but I do not have any direct experience. So Ajatavada is the path of direct seeing, no? Aparoksha Anubhuti. Not taking the experience of others and slapping it onto myself, but myself seeing it directly. That is the path of Ajatavada. So when I recognize that I have not been born, because I have no direct seeing of it. The body just appeared. I now correlate it with Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana. In the dream, you never see the beginning of a dream. The story always begins somewhere in the middle. Like that only, the story of this waking world and this waker called Ekta began somewhere in the middle. Go back to the earliest memory. You will not remember coming out of your mother's womb. It begins somewhere in the middle. What is the difference then between dream and waking story? Both are beginning in the middle. Both do not have a beginning point. This is what the scriptures describe as Anadi and Ananta. That is beginningless and endless. The stage or the backdrop doesn't begin anywhere and doesn't end anywhere. Yes, that is reality. What about the imagination or the ignorance that came out of the Maya, born from reality, belonging to Brahman, belonging to reality? That imagination is also beginningless, but it can end. The story can end. The dream can collapse and disappear. The imagination can cease. So that I recognize in Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana, however enamoring the story was, however terrifying the story was, maybe the tiger running behind me, it comes to an end. And I wake up. Does the waking in the dream have some correlation with the waking on the spiritual path? Yes, the correlation is there. What is that? That enlightenment, so-called enlightenment. The body-mind person does not get enlightened. Turiya or witnessing awareness field recognizes I am that. It awakens to itself. It gets enlightened about its true nature. That is enlightenment. So you start drawing parallels between dream and waking like this. Yeah? Start seeing it in samadhi first, see it in swapna nidra jnana sadhana next, see it in your open-eyed, and then you can draw a parallel in the open-eyed daily routine like this. Nothing is killed. It's not possible to kill that which has no agency. Very easy to see in closed-eyed samadhi. The I disappears in samadhi. There's nothing, no agency. And after the first two milestones of samadhi, where bodilessness happens and thoughtlessness happens, you come to a point where there is no vulnerability, no involvement. So there is no doer left, no experiencer left. So easy to see this in closed-eyed samadhi, then see the same thing in swapna nidra jnana sadhana, recognizing that the dream collapses. Dream is only an imagination. There is something beyond that is knowing the dream. There is no question of killing and killer or dying and death. And you come to a point where you become very stable in the waking, recognizing all this is imagination. Because no doer is found then. Then you recognize this body is talking of its own accord. I am only knowing after it starts speaking. The body gets up to go somewhere. I know after it has started moving that the body is moving in the waking world. I, the witness, only know after the wave has started. So now I start knowing only after the wave has started. Wave starts here, body starts moving. Somewhere here I realize body has started moving. Somewhere here. Oh, I am not the doer. Even in the waking, I never was the doer. That is why I wondered, how can I get so much success? How can I get this name and fame? I did nothing. I am not there. And then people come and pat me on the back and I say, okay, I am the doer. I start pretending I did this, I achieved it. Again, when you're by yourself alone, you feel, I don't know what I did to get this name, fame, this accolade, this title in office, maybe just employee of the month, something like that. And you keep wondering, what did you do? Isn't this naturally happening? That is the knock from reality. There is no doer. There is no action happening. It is all the problem of asmita. I-ness, mindness. I goes to mine. I want to possess this. Yes. One little relationship gives me one moment of pleasure. Pleasure is only at this peak level. And it happens only once in the waking. Yes. Again, that recedes. There is a gap where there is nothing happening. That is me. But I ignore it because I am looking for this peak pleasure. Then I want to repeat that again. When I repeat that again I get pleasure only at this one single point. Again it recedes, disappears. There is the gap. There is no pleasure at all. The gap is nothingness, nobodiness. I don't like to be nobody. I don't like to be nothing. Again I run after that same pleasure. And again I get it only at the peak. I get nothing in the gap. And I keep repeating this n number of times. Why? What am I really looking for? If I join these dots, this is what I'm looking for. I want a straight line of happiness or relationships, of mindness, of doership, of experiencership. But this is an imaginary line created. This line is the story. When I tell you that you sew arisings together, you sew it this way. You sew all the peak points of arisings. Do you recognize this truth? Yeah. He says this is all an imagination. This waking world is nothing but an imaginary story created by sewing these peaks together. Reality is the background, the gap between two arisings. You find a way to escape to the background from these gaps. That's what somebody questioned yesterday. Yes, from the gap, go to the background. Now you will come to what he says in the next verse, which is also a repeat from the previous word, previous chapter. When you squeeze through the gaps and come to the beyond in closed-eyed samadhi or in swapna nidra jnana sadhana, you recognize that that is subtler than the subtle, greater than the great. It is hidden. Yeah, it is hidden, and that is called the heart. A lot of people thought that the sages are talking about a heart. It must be the physical heart in the body on the left side or right side or whichever side. No, it is not in the physical body. The background is called the heart. All performances happen on this background. This is the heart. This will be now your direct seeing after you see this in samadhi. Okay. Why is there repetition? Just to make you understand that this is an important nididhyasa pointer, not just theory, not just shravana manana, but implementation pointer. In samadhi, recognizing I'm looking just for these peaks of pleasure, letting go of this desire, attempting to get to the gap between two arisings and going to the nothingness beyond. That is the skill in samadhi. There is serenity, the absence of agitation. This is not an object. The background is not an object that you can see. You cannot touch it, you cannot taste it, you cannot smell it. That is why it is called subtle. Okay? It is subtler than the subtlest. And again, I want to emphasize this here, just like I've emphasized in I, the heart that Ramana Maharshi was referring to, or the heart that Kathopanishad is referring to, is not a physical heart. Clear? It is basically the stage on which the performance happens. That is the heart. Yes, and it's hidden. The heart is hidden by agitation, hidden by all this identification on stage, the mamata on stage, asmita, mamata, karta, bhokta, I-ness, mindness, doership, experiencership. All this cannot be cultivated just by listening. Please recognize this. Only the absence of disturbance can take me to the presence of serenity. I cannot say I will have the disturbance of this waking world and waker also, and I want serenity. No. Not possible. Yeah? Not possible. This absence of disturbance is a prerequisite to get to that serenity. Yeah? So how do I attempt to get there? Start noticing the gap between thoughts. Open-eyed. I'm talking about just direct seeing. Right now also, you think that seeing is continuous, hearing is continuous, smelling is continuous, tasting is continuous, touching is continuous. Start seeing the gaps. Start seeing gaps between two thoughts. Start seeing gaps between two feelings. Between any two movements, you will see there is a stillness in the center. that. You've started recognizing it in your open-eyed, direct seeing exploration. Sit in samadhi and attempt to get to that gap. Very important is you cannot be mentally agitated and expect to get to that gap. You will take about 20-30 minutes for the mind to completely settle down, be quiet. Bodilessness is a prerequisite for this. Once the body completely disappears, the mind has settled down a little bit. Not too much, a little bit. And there is a gap. In closed-eyed samadhi, attempt to get through the gaps. I'm just talking poetically. Sometimes Ekta speaks graphically and poetically just to express something. There is no gap that you have to squeeze through and all. Ekta's just speaking allegorically. You squeeze through the gaps and you get to the background and you recognize, oh, it's the background of nothingness in which the little vichara arising is actually a disturbance. It's not that there is a gap in between two arisings. These arisings are the gaps in nothingness and nobodiness. This is the final seeing of that samadhi. When you start recognizing this, you will start seeing it in Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana. When you see it in Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana, you see it in closed-eyed samadhi. Either they feed into each other. What do you see in Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana? However agitated the dream world is, it collapses. And before the next dream, there is a gap. That gap is very much like deep sleep. So you can never say that I don't know deep sleep. You know these gaps. And then you start seeing it deeper and deeper and deeper. That after every dream, there is a gap before the next dream begins. And that story disappears, there is a gap, and again the next begins. These gaps take you to the understanding that I can know deep sleep. It removes the obstacle, which was a part of your old conditioning, that I cannot know deep sleep, I am not there. No. This reinforces the conviction in myself that I have the ability to know deep sleep. And then when the last dream collapses before the deep sleep phase really begins, there you're standing there and you're knowing there is nothing and there is nobody here. No waker, no waking world. No dreamer, no dream world. Nothing here, no agitation. That shows that your swapna is winning. And then that will automatically seep back into the waking. You will start seeing gaps. Here, now, with open eyes, you will see that seeing is not continuous. It's in waves. It comes and it goes and it comes and it goes. Thoughts are not continuous. Sound is not continuous. Even though you feel you've been listening to Ekta continuously, it is not continuous. Then these things become so evident, a natural happiness, a smile from within starts happening. You feel, wow, there is something beyond. There is something beyond that I could know. Deep sleep till now, I thought I would never be able to know. You realize, I know deep sleep. I recognize the nobodiness and nothingness of deep sleep. Yes, and that increases your conviction in yourself, and then you can easily get to Turiya Avastha, you can easily get to Mahat, and then also see the collapse of Mahat or I or Turiya, whatever you want to call it. Then fears completely collapse. Because now you see, I am deathless. The next verse is, I am beyond time, I am beyond space, I am beyond duality. Fear belongs to time and space and duality. When I am beyond time, I am beyond space, I am beyond the duality, I am fearless naturally. And there are times when you're feeling all fearless. Have you realized that? And then somebody tells you, oh, you should be a little afraid of this. You take too much risk. And then the fear comes in. You start pretending to be fearful. Do you realize that? When that outside influence was not there, that time there was a fearlessness within you. So these qualities naturally knock on your door. Fearlessness, deathlessness, timelessness, being free from duality, free from grief, anger, hatred, all emotions. All this is my nature. When I see all this, I become very clear, I was not even born. I see that I am birthless too. I am the Lord of past, present, future. I create time. I give birth to waking, dream, deep sleep. I am all. Yeah, so don't stop till you get there. The easiest way is to see the collapse of the eye in closed-eyed samadhi, in Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana, just before the eye comes back up and projects the first dream, you will notice there will be some time where there is no eye. And you know it. You know that. Not spirituality unless it seeps into your open-eyed daily routine. It's of no use. You came, you saw a wonderful performance, great story, you clapped your hands and you went back home. How did it help? It's of no use. Do you see that? So see that you start implementing all this. Okay. So that brings us to the end of part 2. I'll give you a 5 minutes break again. Contemplate what is it that I need to strengthen in myself and take up that commitment. We'll discuss how you can go deeper with your commitment, but at least write down your commitment for yourself. And then we can discuss how we can deepen each. Is it closed-eyed samadhi I need to work on? Is it Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana? Is it both? Is it open-eyed samadhi? What do I need to work on? Clear? Let's take a 5